Hello folks, welcome to the channel. It's all about racing. Today we're going to talk a little bit about collecting 1/64 scale race cars. Now when I say race cars, I'm talking about 1/64 scale GT3 cars, GT4 prototypes, the kind of cars that you see on the street every day, Corvettes, Lamborghinis, Porsches, well maybe not Lamborghinis, BMWs, and prototypes that race in series such as IMSA, SRO, the WEC, and of course the 24 Hours of Le Mans. In this particular category, there are three main manufacturers, one being Mini GT, the other one being Sparky, and the third being Tarmac Works. All make beautiful cars, all make them at different price points, and all make them in various different kinds of presentations. And what you're seeing here basically is a smorgasbord of all of them. But let's get started on the first one, and that one is going to be Mini GT. These are the Mini GTs. Mini GT makes a nice variety of cars. They come in very unique packaging. Basically, a blister pack, as you see in the rear there, that comes with a box with the car on top of it, and of course the car can be stored in the box once you take it out and display it. They tend to have a wide variety of cars, such as Acuras, Bentley Continentals, Corvettes, Ford GTs, and many, many others. Now, all these cars generally are die-cast models, which means they're metal. They do have plastic parts. They do break, and sometimes they come broken. That's unfortunately, I guess, one of the drawbacks of the scale of the car and the manufacturing process. You can see this Acura, for example, is missing a mirror on one side. Very annoying, but sometimes does happen. The Mini GT cars are relatively inexpensive, typically running about $10 to $15. So you kind of get what you expect. They tend to be void of a lot of detail. For example, you're not going to see the manufacturer's logos on their tires. You don't see antennas or tow hooks. But you do get a very, very good representation of the car. Nicely done with liveries that are authentic to those that were raced in that particular series. They come with a box that tells you a little bit about the car, where the car was raced. In this case, it was the Acura NSX GT3 Evo, number 86 at the 2019 IMSA Watkins Glen. And of course, who would have a collection without a Ford GT? They make a variety of Ford GTs in all sorts of different liveries, this being the most popular, the one that won at Le Mans. And they even have a 4-car set, 66, 67, 68, and 69. Very, very cool, very, very nice cars, Ford GT. And of course, you got to have the Chevy Corvette, America's favorite car, the most popular car in the series, despite the fact they only run 2 of them, go figure. But it is a good-looking car. This is the 8th generation, or what they call the C8, in the iconic yellow livery with the gray stripes going in the back. This particular model is the 63 model, which races in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And then you even have big powerhouses such as the Bentley Continental. I thought this was a particularly superb example of a Bentley Continental in an absolutely gorgeous black and gold livery. Very, very striking. Very, very sharp. Nice detail. Good work. And this brought to you by the folks from Mini GT. Now, the one thing you will notice about Mini GT, and I'm going to move on to Spark here in just a second, is they do not come with bases or jewel cases, acrylic jewel cases. You get the car and you get the box. So if you want to display it, you've got to put it in a display case or put it on top of the box. Now, here's a look of various cars from a manufacturer called Sparky. Sparky is a subsidiary of Spark, a company that makes absolutely phenomenal 143 and 118 scale cars. In fact, it's my favorite manufacturer of all, bar none. Their selection is very, very good in 1/64 scale as well with neat cars. However, presentation of them does vary. The cars you see on the front, such as this Mercedes, come with a base that's very, very cool. It tells you all the specifics about the car, but it does not come with an acrylic jewel cover. Yet other cars, like the ones you see in the back, do. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I don't get it. It's just the way they do it. But hey, it is better than nothing. Sparky cars tend to run about $15 to $25, sometimes as much as $35 or $40, depending upon the popularity of it. The Delta Wing back there was the most expensive one I purchased. That was about $35, simply because of the sheer popularity of it. The Pink Pig is another extremely popular one. Let me pull that up. This is one, if you can find it in 143 scale, it'll cost you about $150, 118, probably $400 to $500, despite the fact that they retail for far less than that. This particular car is famous because it has a livery that basically mimics the livery of a former Porsche that inspired this livery by somebody saying the car was so ugly it looked like a pig. So what they did is they painted it pink, and then they cut up little pieces like you would a pig, and they named the prime pieces of meat in German. I don't understand it, but anyhow, that's the story behind it. Very, very cool car. Comes from Sparky. Sparky also has what they call the Art Series, and this, as you can see, is a very, very unique Porsche that was designed by some guy that basically made it to resemble that of a woman. Very, very neat car, very, very cool, very unique. Take a look at the back here. You can see the eyes, which are really striking. Again, brought to you by the folks at Sparky. If you're a Nissan fan, they also have Nissan GTRs, cars that famously race all over the world. This one in the FIA GT World Cup in Macau in 2018. Very, very sharp-looking car. Notice this one, too, missing a mirror. This is one thing that happens in 164 scale that I just absolutely drives me nuts. Is cars sometimes come with mirrors either completely on there or not, or broken. It's a quality control issue. I've seen it with Sparky. I have seen it with Mini GT. I have not seen it with Tarmac Works, the third car that we'll talk about. But it does happen. It's annoying. It's just annoying. I think that's the only way of putting it, but it's something I guess you live with at this particular scale. But nevertheless, a really cool looking car. As I mentioned, with Sparky, you get prototypes like the Toyota here, the T5 TS50. This is, the car that is right now dominating the series globally, in both the WEC series as well as Le Mans. This car is the car to beat. Phenomenally well-engineered hybrid race car. Very successful, available through Sparky. And as I had mentioned, some of the Spark cars come with boxes and acrylic jewel cases. Not all do. These are examples of some of the ones that do. Very, very nice looking boxes. Have a little Sparky logo, little spark plug guy there. But it's a great way to display your car because you do get a base and you get an acrylic jewel cover. And here's one of the more popular cars in the series. This is the Nissan Delta Wing. Very, very unique prototype, not very successful. Believe it or not, they tried to sell this car to Indy, to make this the Indy car that you see today. Didn't sell, didn't work, but they did race it for a number of years in both an open and closed cockpit, this one being the Nissan with the open cockpit. Did not do very well, but again comes from Spark with the base and the acrylic jewel cover. Cool car. Now we'll take a look at the third and the last manufacturer in this particular series, and this is going to be Tarmac Works. Tarmac Works is a relatively new entry into the market. They make very, very detailed and very uniquely packaged cars. Every Tarmac car that you buy comes with a gorgeous box, a unique jewel case, and incredibly cool bases, and even shipping crates, as you can see up front here. These tend to be more detailed than the Sparky and the Mini GTs. Consequently, they cost a little bit more. They tend to run $25 to $30 on average. You can get cars like this BMW that you see here that raced in the GT World Cup in 2019 by Augustus Farfus. It says, "Godspeed, Charlie." I have no idea what that refers to. Augustus Farfus drives the car. I don't know who Charlie is, but you can see that these cars have very unique bases, cool packaging. Pull back, you even see a picture of the car in the back here. Really, really neat. This is what they call their Hobby 64 collection, which is the best that Tarmac Works makes. Their cars come resplendent with antennas, which you don't see in a lot of the other cars. Trim tends to be a little bit better. Notice that the wheels have the tires brand name on it. You'll see a lot of carbon fiber trim that you just don't get with other cars. You get little things like tow hooks, which you wouldn't even notice if you didn't look at it. But it just gives you some idea of the work that Tarmac Works goes to bring you a really cool and a great car. And folks, one thing I will say about Tarmac's Works, I have a whole bunch of them. I'd say about 20. I have never had an issue, quality control, otherwise with any Tarmac Works car. I wish I could say the same for Mini GT and Sparky. Tarmac Works also brings you Ferraris. In fact, it's about the only manufacturer in 1/64 scale on racing that you're going to find Ferraris. And this was a recent acquisition that they picked up the licensing, I guess, about 6 months ago for. But again, beautiful packaging, this being the iconic DHL number 52 car, this one being a Ferrari 458, probably the best sounding car that was ever built, including the Porsche RSR. Unfortunately, this doesn't have any cool artwork on the back of it, but nevertheless, great looking car, great looking base, resplendent with antennas, tow hooks, you name it. I mean, this car has got everything. Interior detail is pretty good as well. Take a close look at that. I mean, just really, really nicely done. Absolutely beautiful car. And here's a unique Mercedes AMG from the Asian series of the FIA GT World Cup, this being the 2019 winner. Really, really neat looking car with this green lightning type livery. Notice how the base reflects it. The back of the jewel box has a paper insert that reflects it. Very, very cool. Very, very sharp. And there's a look at the back of the car, back of the box. Picture of the car racing. I just like it. Again, this is part of their Hobby 64 collection. Very, very cool. I mean, just look at the base. You don't even want to take it out. You know, I put all of these in a case where I can display all of them together. I almost hate it. When I packaged them back in the box for this presentation, I was going, my God, I miss these. These are so cool. You know, sometimes you just don't want to take them off. In Tarmac Works, that might be the case. And then finally, you have some of the cars in which they call a crate. And this basically resembles a shipping crate. If you've ever been to a race and you watch them pack up one series as another series is running, they'll wrap them up. They'll place them in one of these crates, and they lift them up and they ship them, or they take them back in their haulers, whatever. But they resemble this. And let me open this. It's going to take a second. Anyhow, but you open up the crate, and there's your car displayed in it. Just a novel and a neat way of basically selling and displaying a car. I think they're very, very cool. As I mentioned, I have all these cars detached and sitting in a display case, but I have all the crates, and I got like 6 of them on top of it that I think are very, very neat and very cool. I've got an Audi R8. This one I had an absolutely terrible time getting back on the base and getting into the crate, as you can see, which is why you don't see it there. This is one of the disadvantages of taking these things off, because sometimes once you get them off with the Tarmac Works, they're very, very hard to get them back on. That would be my only complaint and my drawback with the cars. But again, with Tarmac's work, you get exceptional detail. I mean, these cars are just first class. Engine detail as well. I mean, you know, look at that. This is the Audi R8 with that V10 back there. It just absolutely hums. Even though this is a GT4 spec car, it doesn't have the the downforce that you go some of the others. You see the tow hook there on the front of the car. And these are little things that you get with Tarmac Work that you don't get with the other brands. Very, very cool cars. Very, very neat. My personal favorite to collect as a collector. I like these the most. As I mentioned, these are a bit expensive. They run $25 to $35. I've seen some as high as $50 and more. And, you know, one drawback to the Tarmac Works, too, is they do not roll. They are meant to be collector's cars and not toys, so they don't roll. Some of the Spark roll, some not. The Mini GT, if you want a car that rolls, well, you know, they're your brand. They're not as good as Hot Wheels or Matchboxes, respectively, but they do roll, nevertheless. So, anyhow, that sums up this particular video. If you're going to collect 1/64 scale race cars, you've got the folks from Mini GT, wide selection of cars, relatively inexpensive. Drawback, they don't come with any way to display them other than a storage case. Spark, another great collection of cars, great variety, good cars. Some come with bases, some with acrylic boxes, but it's inconsistent. I just don't get it. Then there's Tarmac Works, and they deliver the full package. Great looking cars, great detail, amazing looking bases, boxes just out of this world, and they even have shipping crates. Cool, neat. Anyhow, got it? Got it. Thanks for watching.